Today is going to be Carl Spackler from Caddyshack. Now, hey, look, I know that he's necessarily not a throwback, but the movie itself is a throwback, right? So we kind of got to like look at him as being a throwback. But hey, don't forget, subscribe to the channel, turn on those notifications, and become part of the Wayne Co crew. My name is Wayne, and this is Wayne Co. Now, like I said, we're going to get Carl here unboxed, and we'll talk about him a little bit, and I'll look at him a little bit while we're getting him unboxed. Like I said, look, I know he's not a throwback, so you don't have to, like, scout me. I already know what's going on, Justin. It's good to see you, buddy. So I'm going to get him open, like I said, and I know he's not a throwback, right? I mean, he has just been released not too long ago with all the other Bill Murray stuff that they're coming out with, because it just seems like they're coming out with a whole lot of Bill Murray stuff, and I don't really know why that is. I kind of tried to, like, look it up and see why there was so much Bill Murray stuff dropping at the rate at which it was dropping, but I couldn't really find anything other than the fact that they're going to be coming out with a new Ghostbusters here at some point here in the future, but I don't think that it has Bill Murray in it at all. I think that it's just going to be a new Ghostbusters with kind of like some upcoming Ghostbusters. I didn't see the old cast in it at all, but it doesn't mean that they're not going to make a cameo in there somewhere. But there is just a lot of Bill Murray stuff coming out, and if you haven't like seen Caddyshack, then you're living up under a rock, or you are a millennial, and you should go back and check it out, because Caddyshack is just awesome. And in this movie, the scene that this pop is from, he's actually in this fight with this whole groundhog. And to be honest with you, I think the groundhog is winning. yes, that is a butter knife. So I don't have my normal tool to open them up here, so I just use my butter knife. It works just the same. They show 5 of these guys on the back, including the gopher that I was just telling you that he's fighting throughout the entire movie. And it's just a really hilarious movie, and if you haven't seen it, you should go check that out. But it's definitely a retro oldies. I mean, so when I say retro oldies, it is a really oldie. Supreme Pops, how are you doing, bud? It's good to see you. Hey, if y'all have any questions, you want to talk about anything in particular, throw a comment over there, and we'll kind of get into that after we talk about Carl here for a minute. Carl, like I said, is not a throwback, but he should be, right? I mean, because Carl is in the whole like throwback movies with the Caddyshack, and it's just a really awesome movie. Now, this movie was supposed to be filmed in Augusta, Georgia, which is actually where I'm from, for a lot of you that don't know that. So it's actually supposed to be filmed in my hometown. I'm going to be honest with you. I've watched this movie a few times, and I don't think it was filmed in my hometown at all. I think they just wanted you to believe that it was filmed in my hometown. Carl is a really awesome pop, though, if we're being honest. And he has these whole, you would have to see the movie to understand what's going on in this scene right here, because he's kind of doing this whole like where they're talking to each other. Carl, I think, might be out there a little bit. Maybe he's smoked too much weed. Maybe he's drank too much. I mean, we really don't know, but he's the groundskeeper in this movie, and he's way out there somewhere. Yesy Lou, what's going on, bud? It's good to see you. So I'm going to set Carl here to the side, and we'll talk about some other stuff while we're sitting there. Don't forget, guys, tomorrow, Mr. TechBot, JKL, and myself are all going to be doing the one chip challenge. So make sure you're tuning in tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern time, right? 6 p.m. I'm not going to say standard Eastern time, because some reason I don't even believe that's a real thing 99% of the time, if we're being honest with each other, right? So make sure you're there tomorrow at 6 p.m. to see Mr. TechBot, JKL, and myself. Will be doing the one chip challenge. I have not opened this box yet. I'm going to wait until tomorrow before I get this box open, because something tells me that it's just going to be god awful hot. So I'm not going to open it up and psych myself out or none of that nonsense. Let's see who we got over there. So we've had Fabian, who's been in there for a while. I don't necessarily know that I understand what elbow cough means, but it's good to see you, Fabian. We got Justin in there. He says that is a kitchen knife. Yes, that is a kitchen knife that is turned into a Funko opener. Supreme Pops, how are you doing, bud? It's good to see you. And Yesy Lou, it's always good to see you guys. Like I said a second ago, if you have anything y'all want to talk about, how about throw a comment over there? Now, I'm going to kind of go over the Funko site, because I just realized something here recently, that in the Funko site that they've just released, that I think that maybe some of you guys will get into with me. Now, it's going to give some of us an opportunity to pick up some of the older pops in the event that we didn't pick these guys up from the first round. But I kind of have a problem with it all at the same time. So as I'm looking at the site and I'm thinking, man, this is awesome that they re-released these things. On the flip side, Funko is kind of getting in their own way. I mean, have you ever heard the saying, "Don't get in your own way"? Well, Funko tends to get in their own way a lot, and so yeah, the screen I wanted it to be okay. So here we are. The 3PO, Star Wars. See, now all of these guys right here are from one of the early lines of your Funko. And it seems like they are re-releasing these guys over and over and over. The Boba Fett, look, I want this whole line that you see right here. I want the Chewbacca, I want the Stormtrooper, I want the 3PO, I want all of these guys, but I'm not really sure how I feel about them continuing to release this stuff over and over and over. I mean, it's almost like they're killing their own resale value, right? I mean, and I was told that the only difference between these and the ones that they made early on are the boxes. So I was told if you look at the boxes on the older ones are more pixelated. You could tell that it's in an older printer versus the ones that they're making right now. And they say that you can just see in the printing on the box the difference between the ones that they made then versus the ones that they make now. So I just wanted to kind of like throw these out there, and I've seen a bunch of other ones on there, and I'll kind of scroll through them here in a second, and we'll just take a look at them real quick. And you tell me what you think. Do you think Funko is getting in their own way when they keep like putting these guys back out there? I mean, it reminds me of that 10-inch State Puff guy, right? They kept pushing him out, and they kept pushing him out, and they kept pushing him out. No matter how many times he sold out, they just kept re-releasing him. And to me, that's just killing their own resale value. Kenneth Bird, how are you doing, bud? Needed more Iron Man. I don't know about that, Justin. If we need more Iron Man. Right. And see, that's kind of what I'm saying, Supreme Pop, is when you're buying Funkos, right? You're buying them as a collector, and you're wanting to collect something that's not going to be continuously remade over and over and over and over and over, right? And when they continuously remake this stuff over and over and over and over, it kind of takes away from the collecting side of it. It takes away from something that might go up in value. It takes away from the nostalgia of it, right? Because if I just wait long enough, they'll re-release it, and I'll be able to buy another one. And so, I look, that's kind of why I like the sodas as much as I like the sodas. I mean, the sodas are a limited run, and they say that they're a limited run. Now, I don't know that that's necessarily the case. Sometimes I question if the numbers that are on them are necessarily correct. And if those numbers are correct, then that means that there's a lot less collectors out there than we truly thought. I don't really know, Justin, if that's why they have the chase or not. I mean, it kind of gets washy. The chase is supposed to be just a limited run variance of the actual pop. So I don't necessarily know if that's why they have the chase. Now, they also have the original Vader, the original Leia. So there's some really like cool things that come out of them re-releasing and remaking them. But just on the flip side, I think that at some point they should vault them. I think that should just be a hard line in the sand at some point. Says, hey, I'm from JKL. Awesome. Hey, JKL is awesome. It's good to see you, Timing Happy. That is just awesome. I didn't know that JKL was live right now. I'll have to switch over there in a minute and tell him, hey, maybe we'll go over there and stream him here in a second. Could it possibly? Yes. It I believe that it could change the value of your pops. And this is why I say that if someone has a pop that there's only 5 of, or there's only 6 of, or there's only 10 of, obviously that pop's going to be higher valued, right? I mean, because there's only 5 or 6 or 10 of them in the world. And if the pop has been vaulted and it wasn't made in all of these years, then that pop itself has got a value of X dollars as to whatever someone would pay, right? And that's what we need to remember in collecting, and or even in selling things. Things are only worth what someone's willing to pay for them. But if you have this pop that you're wanting to sell me for $5,000 that it was made back in the original Funko days, but then Funko makes that exact same pop in the exact same box, and the only difference is the box is cleaner printed than yours, then I'm going to pay the $11 versus the $5,000. So I see absolutely they can affect their value and what they're worth. I got you. I got you, Tom. Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't think he was live right now. But yeah, JKO is awesome. Great channel. Great guy. I think he's our fact checker. We kind of keep him as our fact checker. I've never met somebody that knows so much about Star Wars and the stuff that they do. I'm gonna kind of go to a different line right now because when I started browsing these in the Star Wars guys. You know me, so I started there, and as I went through there, I started going into different ones because I thought, well, if they're doing it with the Star Wars, are they doing them with the rest of them? And you can kind of obviously see that. I mean, right off the jump, coming into the Disney, you see that they got the Lilo. I'm trying to say that right without messing or slaughtering that way too much. So you can see that they got the Lilo right there, and I got to find the page that it's on. It's not necessarily right here on the first page, but it's getting into these pages. Thank you, babe. It's getting into these pages. You can kind of find them on here. Where are we at? All right. I just got to remember what page it was. Or if they still have them. I wonder if maybe they sold them by now. Oh, here we go. Nope. So let's see. Next page. There we are. Check that out. So now you got Mary Poppins and Alice from Alice in Wonderland, which are also some really, really old throwbacks. So I've kind of discovered if you'll just scroll through Funko's site and just browse through the pages, you'll find these rather old pops. And if you'll notice that on these pops, they were actually still putting the little white dot in the eyes there, which has got to be a really old pop. It's time to do what is he saying right now? Y'all got a side conversation going on. Y'all are confusing me at this moment. So, like I was saying, if you'll scroll through their site, you'll see that they've got some of these throwbacks. And I don't know if the mermaid is a throwback, but I definitely know that some of those right on the top there are throwbacks. And I seen another one, so let me see if I can find that one real quick. And it's not under none of the new releases or anything like that. Let me see. I didn't really scroll any of the other ones. Let me scroll the anime because I mean they could if there's some of them on Hero Academia that I would like to see them re-release, but I doubt very seriously that they are. And I think they did that with this one too. So the 6-inch Jade, I believe that one's been sold out for a really long time. I think they're recreating it. And that's, look, I think that when they recreate stuff into the 10-inch pop, that's really cool. I like seeing the recreations of the 10-inch pops, especially like what they just come out with the zombie series. I don't really know how I feel like them looking exactly like they did it in the 3.5 inch. They're actually like 3.4 inch. I don't know how I feel about them looking exactly the same as those. I think that there should be some kind of a variance. And I know that on the 10-inch zombie, there is a variance between the 10-inch Deadpool zombie versus the 3.5-inch Deadpool zombie. The only difference that I seen though was the fact that they took the knife out of Deadpool. So in the 10-inch, he just doesn't have the sword going through him, to whereas the 3.5-inch, he has the sword going through him. But I really think that maybe they should have left that alone and just left the sword in him if they were going to do that. But hey, look, like I said, I don't really know. I just know that I don't really agree with them recreating them, right? I think at some point these pops need to be vaulted. And I want to say that the 6-inch hasn't been around for a really long time. And I know that they come out with it in all kind of different colors, and they just continuously have made this one in different colors, which I think rightfully so. They should have made it in different colors. But I don't know how I feel about them just making the same pop over and over. I think at some point there should be a cutoff where you say, we're not going to make this pop anymore. We made it 100,000 times 10 years ago. We're not going to continue to make it now. So I'm just kind of going through this real quick though, guys, because look, I want you to see that if you really want to pop, if you wait long enough, they're going to come back out with it anyways. But on the flip side to it, I'm going to tell you that how I feel about it. And the way I feel about it is I don't really agree with it. I think that once a pop has gotten old, especially like some of those older Star Wars, it's time to stop, right? I mean, you stop making them at that point and you let the ones that were there stay alive, and that's it. I mean, that way people's collections don't go down in value, right? I mean, that way something that you were collecting that was $300-400 in value yesterday didn't turn into $10 in value today. And that's how that could happen very quickly. I want to say that this Dragon Ball Z pop, he looks like he's an older pop. I don't necessarily know that he is, but just looking at his eyes, I would say that he is an older pop. Sorry, I keep going back, guys. It's messing up the whole flow of it every time I go back. Let me strip to the next page here real quick and see what we got. Those Hello Kitty things are everywhere, and I actually ended up with a whole line of these Hello Kitty things thanks to my friends over at GameStop. they told me, they said, Wayne, the new Hero Academia pops are in. Do you want them? And I said, absolutely, I want them. I want all Hero Academia pops. So I get to GameStop, and the new Hero Academia pops were the Hello Kitty pops, and I felt so bad that they had held them for me that I just didn't want to tell them that they could keep those. That I didn't necessarily want the Hello Kitty Hero Academia pops, but I picked them up anyways. I figured if they went through the trouble of holding them, I might as well grab them. So those are the only Hello Kitty pops that I have in my series, but it's okay. They'll sit there and they take up shelf space, and that's just what they'll do. I don't really see any of the other than that one that I pointed out right there off the jump. I don't really see any of them in the anime that they've redone. We've already looked at the Disney. I don't know what Pixar is going to have to offer because I don't really get into Pixar. I don't really get into Pokemon, so we're going to kind of skip that one, even though the Pokemon was the first one that came up in video games. While they had two different categories for Pokemons and video games, I don't know. I kind of expected to see a lot of Fortnite pops into the video games, but I'm not seeing nearly as many as I thought I would. And there's only a few in the Fortnite that I would like to see them come back with, and Crackshot is one of them. But I haven't played Fortnite in so long that, look, it really wouldn't matter if they came back out with them or not. Let's go over into the classics. I didn't even know they had a classics category, but we're going to kind of slide over there. God, let's talk about these pops. I have been trying to collect all of the Back to the Future pops on the I want to say this is the second or third wave, but I want to say that it's the second. So I was kind of trying to grab all of these guys as they were coming out. And then they started doing some strange stuff with them, right? They started making Marty in every variance that you could possibly imagine them making a Marty McFly in. Marty McFly is made in every single variance. So much so that they took his hat here and made it into the holographic like they should have to begin with, right? Because that's how it was in the movie. And then they turned that into a totally separate pop. And I don't necessarily know that I agree with that. Think that there's some horror pops from the new movies recreating. Yeah. So yeah, as soon as I get into the horror line, there actually is a bunch of pops in the horror line that they've been recreating too. And I seen one of them that they're calling the classic that I think they just remade, but I it's one of the few horror pops that I'm honestly thinking about picking up. So let's see what we got. So in the classics, I don't really see a whole lot as far as like old goes. It just looks like they're talking like classic TV or classic movie, not necessarily like classic pops. So I guess when I first seen that, I thought that we were about to get into some classic pops. I was probably going to be more upset with the fact that they had the classic pops on here than anything. But look, I understand why they do it. It's going to eventually kill the whole like resale of stuff at the end of the day. I don't know if any of you guys noticed that they came back out with another Dwight. That goes to the Marty, right? Dwight and Marty have got to be the most like recreated pops that I've ever seen. I just rewatched it. Yes. So I think this is about the time of the year that everybody starts to rewatch Back to the Future. Me and my family sat down and watched like 1, 2, and 3 is what I want to say that there's only 3, right? So we just recently sat down and watched 1, 2, and 3. It was a lot of fun, lot of fun. So yeah, if you have some free time, Smiles, you should really just sit down and kind of sit back and watch those. Let's see. All right, so let's get back over here real quick. What category am I in? So I am still into comedy, which is going to run a lot of Office Space. I mean, because there's so much. I don't know how they put the Gremlin in comedies, but I guess in today's horror, that would definitely be a comedy. I could see the Ghostbusters as being a comedy for sure. Friends. So I want to say that those are also some older pops. I could be wrong on that though. And I really think that's going to be about it. Now, I did see an Alex Trebek, and I'm going to let everybody know that I do have an Alex Trebek. I like my Alex Trebek. It's Alex Trebek is definitely a classic. He's been around a really long time. The Billy Madisons, let's get out of this one. The comedy's kind of boring when it comes to Funkos, and I think that's because if you look at them at some point, you think, man, any one of these could be something else, right? I mean, they could all be something else. Now, when a second ago when I was talking about horror, right, and I said that a Supreme Pop, I really appreciate it, but have a good evening. So a second ago when I said that they were coming out with some more horror pops, or maybe even recreating the horror pops, is this Pennywise is what started the whole conversation with them remaking some pops, right? So this Pennywise is pretty hot. So when I see this Pennywise, but it is a remake, right, of one of the original Pennywises that they made. But out of all the horror stuff that I've just said out there, good deal, Supreme Pops. Have a good one, buddy. So out of all the horror pops that are out there, I have to say that Pennywise is the one that I would collect. I have a couple of Pennywises, but not too many. I think at some point I'm gonna have to pick this Pennywise up. I really thought that he would have been gone by now, but I guess not. I think that this is a newer old Jason. I don't really know. Same thing with Freddy. Because I just don't really collect a whole lot of the horror stuff. The Gremlin looks like it's an older pop just because of the stance tells me that maybe it's an older pop, but it might not be. I know that these Hannibal Lecters are fairly old because I've had those for a really long time. I didn't ever expect them to remake the bloody version of the Hannibal Lecter, but I'm going to tell you that those are some pretty too like awesome horror pops. All jokes aside, those are probably, and I don't really know if you would call him horror. See, at some points I have to sit down and think, would that be a horror pop or would it not? So trending now, and I'm gonna browse through that one real quick because I don't really know that I ever believe like the trending now or the best selling. Sometimes I don't. Let's go to the ad icons. Oh, so there we are. All right, so just in talking about the remaking of the pops, right, and the way that they continuously remake them. So Chester Cheese, he's came out a long time ago, and he's actually got a little value on him. I don't necessarily know what the value is. I'm going to look that up real quick. Yeah, see, Time and Smile, that's how I felt, man. I wanted that Pennywise, so I'm glad that they remade it. But on the flip side, it is going to kill any kind of value that pop had, right? Because what if somebody come to you and said, "Hey, I've got the original Pennywise. It's $400. Here it is." You would have to know what the other box looked like to actually know if you were getting the older one or not at this point. So I guess Chester Cheese did not have any value. Okay, I mean they have him in the ad icon at $9. So I guess he didn't have any real value to him. So I guess that's not too disappointing. I guess the disappointing side was people like me that really fought hard to find a Chester Cheese. You could now just go on there and pick him up. I mean, so I guess that's the side of it that is the most irritating, right? I don't see any of those that are all that old. Count Chocula has been on their site forever. I mean, he has been on the site forever. He'll probably be on the site forever. Let's see, and that's going to be it in the ad icon. So the only old remake I see in the ad icons is going to be the Chester Cheese around the world. There probably shouldn't be a whole lot of those pops. There's not. I didn't ever get into that line, guys. Did you get into that line? Did you get into the around the world line? I mean, because I just didn't. So then we got the icons, and I try and pick up every one of the Bob Rosses, and I don't know if you guys feel the same way when it comes to Bob Ross, but I try and like make it a point to pick up every one of the Bob Rosses. To me, look, that's an icon on an all new level. He never made that much money. He only painted like 400 paintings over the course of his career, all of which were done on TV, and only think half of those were done on TV. So he painted 2 paintings for every painting that he made. He painted one before the show and then one during the show. And I want to say say that there was only like 400 paintings, never made any real money. It was a public television, right? Those guys don't make that much money to begin with. These front line workers that they come out, I really like the frontline workers. That Stan Lee is a remake though. I mean, I bought that one when it sold out. That's a really awesome Stan Lee too. The Panini Stan Lee is also another remake. That one was put out. That one would have been put out early summer of last year. I picked up two of those. That was a GameStop pop. I don't want to say it was a GameStop only pop, but I want to say that I found them at GameStop. And music. Now we're talking. So this is kind of what I'm hoping when I'm browsing through this with you guys, is that I catch some of them that I missed, right? Because some of these music lines are really hard to get your hands on, and either you can't get your hands on them anymore, or they're really expensive. So I'm going to kind of hope that happens. Now, I did pick up the Lil Wayne. I'm not that into Kiss. I'm not that into ZZ Tops. I respect their music. I like their music. I'm just not that into them. Allison Cooper would be a pretty awesome one to have. Iron Maiden would be a pretty awesome one. Tupac, Queen. I'm not that into Queen to pick those up. Salt and Pepper over there. It's kind of crazy. All right, see who else. We have Johnny Cash. I have all of these for the most part, with the exception of a few missing here and there. I was really kind of hoping that they were going to have some older ones on here, like they've had through the rest of them. It doesn't appear that they do though, so that's a good thing, right? And maybe that's a licensing thing. I don't really know. The myths are always a fun one to collect if you don't collect the myths. I actually have the jackalope there only because it reminds me of the old. Do you remember the world's, what is it? The Holmes America's Funniest Videos. There, I got it right. It took me a minute. America's Funniest Videos, where they would have the little jackalope in there, and he'd say, "Fast as fast can be, you'll never catch me." Well, that's what made me pick that guy up. Is that jackalope used to make me laugh so hard. I think they have the Nirvana pops. I want to say that I've actually seen the Kurt Cobain before, but it was a much, much older pop. And that's one of them that I would have to go back and look, and hopefully it's vaulted. Maybe it's not vaulted. And that's kind of how I feel about these pops that they're re-releasing. They should just vault them before they re-release them. But I know what, I mean, they're basically double dipping, right? They're double dipping again. These retro ones to me though are extremely awesome. Extremely, extremely awesome. This right here reminds me of my childhood. Now, there's been a lot of jokes about this glowworm. This glowworm has been the course of a lot of jokes. So when I was a kid, I had one of these glowworms. Look, that was probably one of my favorite things that I had as a kid, was that glowworm. And it took these god awful big D batteries, and the head would light up when you squeezed it. So it was almost like a nightlight without having a nightlight plugged into the wall. I mean, that way it didn't like interfere with anybody else sleeping. So that's one of my like childhood toys right there, that I actually grabbed two of those guys to make sure that I had one of them that would last the test of time. So I got one of them that I'm going to take out of the box. I got one of them that I'm going to keep in the box. I never had a Stretch Armstrong. I never played that much with Mr. Potato, even though I have picked this guy up because he is an extremely iconic guy. I mean, look, you just can't get more iconic than Mr. Potato. A lot of these don't. I mean, all of these look like they've been fairly released here in the last few months, or maybe even 6 months. So I don't see any of these guys that are necessarily going to be older. I do see some trolls here that I'm missing in the color scheme, which is kind of disappointing because I thought that these guys were gone by now. And I can pick up the pink troll again, which was a Comic-Con exclusive. Yeah, I mean, that was definitely a Comic-Con exclusive. I guess now they're remaking the Comic-Con exclusives, because I know this one sold out when they did the con, because I didn't actually get the pink-haired one. I picked up the blue-haired one. I mean, you want to talk about killing resale? I mean, that I picked up this blue-haired guy right here. I did not pick up this pink one. So I mean, that is slightly disappointing that they re-released the pink-haired one. I don't really. I think I'm in this strange spot and how I feel about the re-releases. Now, I'm most definitely going to pick up that pink haired one, just because it's one of them that I've been missing, and I thought that that would have been done. I mean, especially like it being a Comic-Con pop. I mean, once it's sold out of the Comic-Con pop, you would think that it would just be gone. Now, I haven't watched sports in a really long time, so I'm going to kind of skip over this one, and I'm going to tell you why I haven't watched sports in a really long time. So about the time that they started taking a knee was about the time that I quit watching them. And it had nothing to do with any political stuff. To me, it's, you just don't take a knee, because there's a lot of soldiers out there that dedicated their life to making sure that you stood during the national anthem, and not necessarily to make sure you stood during the national anthem, but to make sure that you had the right to be an American, right? I mean, so I kind of quit watching NFL basketball. I quit watching those guys and kind of moved over into the college. So I really like watching Notre Dame football. I love watching my college football as much as I can. So let's talk about this one. They are coming out with the candy corn, and I'm kind of surprised that we haven't seen the candy corn yet. I've seen the candy corn floating around on Instagram. It's another one of the fan made. So it's a fan who designed it and sent it into Funko, and then they decided who the winner was. So it's a candy corn with this kind of mask over his face. It reminds me a lot of a Janky. Now, if you know what a super plastic is, they have this line in super plastics they call Janky, which is this rabbit that always has this mask over his face, and it's almost this like killer style rabbit. Not a problem, Tom, and we'll see you in a second. So it's almost this killer style rabbit, right, with the whole mask on, and he normally has a bat or some kind of knife or something, right? I mean, it's just the theme in which they go with when they're making that guy. So that's what that candy corn reminds me of, but it's super, super, super hot. I want to pick one up. I can't believe that they haven't released him already for Halloween. So it tells me that they're going to like wait until like the day before, a few days before, and then they're going to try and do some other con that some bots are probably going to like eat them all up, and we're going to miss them, and we're just not going to be able to get them, and it's just going to be a pain. But it's whatever, right? We're going to keep our head up. We're going to continue collecting pops anyways, so it doesn't really matter. But keep your eyes out for that candy corn. That candy corn is going to be a really hot pop. Now, I don't know if it's going to sell out. I know that it's a really cool pop. I know that it reminds me more of a what I call a designer plastics. I mean, so I don't necessarily always put Funko in the realm of a designer plastic, just because they don't always fit the idea of a designer plastic to me, but once in a while they'll make one that's right up there into the designer plastic. Now, this line right here is a pretty cool line to me. I have picked up one of them in this line. I don't see him here anymore. He was another like fan made art, and I kind of wonder if all of these guys are a fan made. Let's see real quick if it tells us. And let's see. No, it does not. Okay, so it doesn't. So I guess every once in a while they pick somebody that makes these, and then they just run with it, which is super cool. I mean, I really like that idea that a fan sent them in some art, and then they turned that into. Let me see. I'm gonna stick away from those guys, and I'm going to kind of come over into the featured now. So in my featured, I got the collectibles. This Scrooge has been eluding me somehow. I have not managed to pick him up, and I've kind of decided that I'm not going to do any pre-orders here for a while, just because my pre-orders kind of got out of hand with the whole like COVID and everything that goes on. It seems like everything now has come up for pre-order, but I want to say that he is maybe a GameStop exclusive. I'm not real sure. I know that he's been at GameStop, and he has somehow eluded me really, really well. I'm going to stop that somehow. I don't necessarily know how I'm stopping that yet, but I'm going to find this guy in the wild somehow. And we go back into the Glowworm, Corpse's Bride. This Mandalorian, to me, they should have made that Mandalorian into the 10-inch when they were making the Mandalorian. Now, they did it with the whole like chrome suit, and then they did it with the whole like the child beside him, and I want to say 6-inch, but it's not necessarily a 6-inch. It's close though, but it's not the 6-inch. They should have made this one in a 10-inch pop when they were making 10-inch pops, because I love how they have the whole like he's got the jetpack on, so he's getting thrusted into the air. He's holding the child. That to me would have been a great 10-inch pop, but it's also a great like 3.5-inch pop. It's just not. It's not quite there. It's almost there, but it's not quite there. let's see. So we have the Freddy in here. So it doesn't look like, I mean, it kind of looks like we've already looked at all of these, kind of browsing around the other one. I don't remember seeing Gambit, but I also don't think that we went into Marvel. Maybe we did, maybe we didn't. And let's see, we got another Dwight down there. I think that maybe they make too many Dwights sometimes, but that's just my personal opinion when it comes to the Dwights. This Oogie Boogie is a 10-inch Oogie Boogie that glows. Now they just did this guy in, they called their fall. I don't know if they're calling these conventions or just fall releases or whatever they are. But they had the Woody Woodpecker. They had the Marty with the future jacket with the sleeves that were hanging down. They had one of them from Silent J and Bob, and then they had this guy. Now I'm kind of surprised that he didn't sell out with the amount of Nightmare Before Christmas fans are out there, and stuff like that in the Nightmare Before Christmas does not really stick around that long. So I'm shocked as you guys are that one is still on the market, but it is. So if you're looking for that 10-inch glow Oogie Boogie, there it is. I'm kind of waiting on someone to make a video of this one though, because I want to see what that glow looks like. I'll bet that in that 10-inch, that glow is super, super hot. I bet that glow is hot when it comes right down to it. But I'll have to wait and see, because I'm just not that in to the Nightmare Before Christmas to pick that guy up. And look, I have a slight obsession with the 10-inch pops anyways, and they take up a lot of space. I mean, they take up so much space. It's almost hard to justify buying those guys, because shelf space gets limited when you collect Funkos. I mean, it's really fast. I mean, before you know it, you are out of space when it comes to collecting Funkos. So it's just not something that I'm going to pick up unless I'm into. These drag queen lines that they've been coming out with, I kind of like. I don't know who any of them are. I think I like it more for the artistry that they put into it. I mean, like this one all the way to the right. I can't really say that name. Janik. Look, I'm not even going to try and say that name anymore. That headpiece with that whole dress, super, super hot. Super, super hot. I like that. So it's the Groot with the wood. I don't, to me, that's kind of like the Chrome line. They've made so many of those, and there is a lot of them on this exclusive. So this is another one of those remakes with the Deadpool, and I know that they've been on here for a long time, right? So really Fassy, Jesse, Yesy Lou. What do you mean, buddy? Really Fassy. Well, so the 10-inch Deadpools that they made were a Black Friday Walmart pop last year. So last year, Black Friday, they came out with these two. They came out with a gold one, a blue one, the gold, the blue, and a yellow. So it was a gold, the blue, a yellow. Am I right? Then it was two reds, a gold, a blue, and a yellow. Yes, that's right, because I have every one of them but the two reds. I didn't realize that they were making the two reds when they were making the Deadpool, or I would have tried to pick up both of them, even though the only difference between one versus the other is one was holding a gun and one of them's holding two swords. Those were supposed to be a Walmart exclusive only, which is how it ends up in the Funko exclusive shop, which I don't really know how I feel about them going from I think if it's a Walmart exclusive, then it should stay a Walmart exclusive. I don't necessarily think that you should have the ability to then bring it on to the Funko shop as an exclusive also. I think that there's some gray area there that I don't necessarily know that I like. That 10-inch Biggie, I have that 10-inch Biggie, and that is a really, really hot 10-inch Biggie. I can't believe that there's still like these 10-inch Huckleberry Hounds. They got the chase variants to that 10-inch as well, which is, I want to say that it's red. It's been so long since I've seen that guy. I want to say that it's red, but really fast. Yes. Your shelf space. Oh, when you collect these things, you lose shelf space faster than you can say don't do it. So I did the math the other day, and on your shelves, they're only holding somewhere between, what was it, 10, 20, 30? You're only holding somewhere between 30 and 40 pops per shelf. So every 30 to 40 pops, you need a whole new shelf. And I'm at the point now where I'm needing 2 more shelves. So at some point, I'm going to have that conversation with my wife again, the dreaded conversation that I'm running out of shelf space. And I'm just not looking forward to having that conversation at all. The 10-inch gold Deadpool was the only one. Okay, so look, I wanted all the Deadpools. I have a slight obsession when it comes to Deadpool. Look, I really like the Deadpools. I really like the Deadpool comics. I really like the Deadpool movies. That's just a really, really awesome, like, Marvel character altogether. So let's see. That is a really awesome biggie though. And I'm going to tell you the thing in that biggie that you can see that you don't normally see when you're looking at these pops is in this biggie, you can see that in his necklace, right? All the detail that went into the Jesus that's sitting in his necklace. So that's the one thing about the 10-inch pops versus the smaller pops that is just insane, is the amount of detail that they get into the bigger pops. Yes, the Deadpools were on a Black Friday, so it was last Black Friday for Walmart, but Walmart's doing some weird stuff on Black Friday this year. So Walmart's going to have 3 or 4 releases on the Black Friday this year. So you're not just going to have one Black Friday. You're going to have 3 or 4 of them, and one of them is going to be online only. And you're gonna actually buy the stuff online. Somebody's going to put it in a box for you at the store. So even though you bought it online, you're still going to have to go to the store to pick it up. It's going to be really, really weird Black Friday this year. And I know that they're going to say that it's because of the whole COVID pandemic, but I think that they've always wanted to stretch Black Friday out to being more than one day, and this just gave them the opportunity to do it. So Black Friday this year for Walmart is going to be what they call 3 events. One of them is going to be online. 2 of them is going to be in the store. It's going to be insane. These Chrome Hulks were also a Walmart exclusive. And look, that's where they started running the whole chrome into the ground, right? So you got the purple, the red. They made way too many of the chrome pops, and they just kept making them, didn't know when to stop. I mean, at some point, I think they should have like pumped the brakes on them and stopped. I think that my Walmart even still has all of those guys sitting somewhere. I mean, that's how long they just been sitting there on the shelf. I think that the War Machine right here is an older pop. I'm not 100% sure. And that 10-inch Captain Crunch is a really awesome 10-inch as well. I have that one also, but I've also got I try and pick up as much Captain Crunch stuff as I can. And it looks like we're kind of getting out of what they're calling their exclusives. I don't want to say that was a con pop too, wasn't it? I mean, maybe it wasn't a con pop, but I guess maybe I thought that was a con pop as well, which was kind of, I don't really understand how they got the con pops back on here. All right, let's go back. There we go. Just missing the page there somehow. And then we went back into the Whitmore Forest, which I don't really know how I feel about any of those. So I'm going to like switch back over to the Marvel real quick. So I don't think that I like browse through the Marvel. And let's see. So I really like the zombie line. And when the zombie line first came out, I really didn't know how I felt about the zombie line. When I first seen the pictures don't do these guys justice. You kind of have to have the zombie line in front of you to appreciate what it really looks like. I mean, because you can see it in those pictures, right? It looks very flat. It looks very one-dimensional. And for some reason, the pictures do not do these guys justice. Hey, look, no, I agree with you. I would have Ethan, I would have loved to have seen a Dr. Dre. That would have been a pretty awesome pop. I mean, there's so many of them that they could have done or that they should done or maybe they're going to do, and that's kind of how I look at that a lot of times. A lot of times I look at it like maybe we're going to see those in the future, even though we haven't seen them yet, that it's one of them that's in the works of coming. Work security for Black Friday. Oh man, I am really sorry. So I only go to Black Friday if there's something that I just absolutely have to have. And that, I guess I didn't absolutely have to have the Deadpools, but I just I just knew that if I didn't grab them on that Black Friday, that I was probably never going to see them again. And I did manage to. I was one of two people that were dumb enough to stand in front of the little like Funko palette that they had out there with all of these Deadpools on it. Believe it or not, they didn't have that many. I want to say that they probably only had about 20 of them, and then you had to remember that there was 5 different ones, so that would have only been 4 complete sets sitting there. And I don't think that I think they only had one gold one, and that was the one that I grabbed, was the one gold one that I managed to pick up. So to go out on Black Friday, it really has to be something that I want to go get. They're making the Hulk in the 10-inch. They're making the Wolverine in the 10-inch. I can't remember if they're making the Mysterio in the 10-inch. All of those are going to be really awesome pops. And I want to say that they're Walmart exclusives. The same thing with the Superman that they're also making into the 10-inch. So they're making the Superman with the it's going to have the Chase variants. So the Superman that's coming out is going to be the regular Superman. And then you're also going to be able to get, it's like a red-eyed, maybe like a evil Superman. I can't really remember. I'd have to go back and look at that, but it's on their Instagram if you want to go check that out. That's really where I see a lot of the new stuff. It is on their Instagram. And guys, I've also started my Facebook page. So if you want to go over and check out the Waynco Facebook page, my Facebook page is going to be a little different than my Instagram. I don't want to do them exactly the same because I feel like at that point you're starting to like beat a dead horse, right? You follow me on Instagram, you follow me on Facebook. I put the same thing on both of those guys. That is absolutely not what I'm going to do. So on my Facebook, I will post the things like the cons they have coming up, Funko news, the new pops, videos that I've made. I mean, I'm going to share those on Facebook as well as YouTube. And so my Facebook is going to be where you're going to get the news. I will show you the pops that I am looking to get that are coming up versus what's out there. And my Instagram is really just where I'm going to be putting my pictures. And that's kind of what my Instagram has always been. My Instagram has always been my site where I share pictures and I don't really like get into the news side. Well, my Facebook is going to be the news side. So if you haven't seen that, go check it out. It's Waynco. I mean, you can't miss it. Same logo that you're seeing here on Instagram. The same logo you're seeing here on YouTube is the same one that's going to be there. The same thing that's on Instagram. I'm trying to use the same logo across all the platforms. Now, this Captain America, Mr. TechBot sent me the variants to this one. So it's him in a little bit of older suit, but that one's a remake as well. So that's a pretty old pop that they got sitting there. And I'm kind of half tempted to pick that one up, to be totally honest, because I do have it in the variant suit. I'm kind of half tempted to grab that one. The Spider-Man here is a much, much older Spider-Man. I mean, look, if you've wanted these older pops and you don't have them, here is your chance. I mean, because I don't necessarily know how long they're going to keep them on there, right? I mean, they could have done. You have to let me know what you're talking about, Yesy Lou. He said just no thanks. So this he messed up my whole train of thought. So the Spider-Man, like I was saying just a second ago, if you want to pick up some of these older pops and you didn't get a chance to pick these things up, now is your chance to kind of like slide back over there and grab these guys. I mean, because that Spider-Man's a pretty awesome Spider-Man. Here we go again with the Chrome Pops. I guess we wanted to see those twice. I think this War Machine is a fairly old pop, but I don't know that for sure. The 80th year Deadpool sold out. And let's see what else we got. We got the Gamer here, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I don't really see a whole lot on there that I just would have to have. I mean, it's done. Hey, not a problem. I appreciate it. Yesy Lou. Yeah, you got me there a second. So I guess you can look at this one or two ways, right? You can look at it like they're killing the resale value because they kind of will, right? It'll take away from the resale value of these guys a little. Will it take away from it enough to really care? Probably not, right? Because the odds are that if you have some of these older pops and you've you've had them in your possession for a while, you're probably never looking to sell these guys to begin with. You know, like this old Boba Fett, this for some reason the page moved, so now I've got to figure out why it moved. Oh, maybe they must have sold out of the 3. Yeah, I mean, so they must have sold out of that one while we were having this conversation. So this is your chance if you wanted to get some of these older guys and you didn't have the money to fork out to pay to get some of them right at the beginning. And so this is the chance now for you to go back and grab the Boba Fett, to go back and grab the Chewie, to go back and grab the Stormtroopers, to get the Marvel characters and the Pennywise and those guys that you just wanted in your collection that you just haven't been able to afford to get. Go back through there now and check those guys out. I mean, because this is your chance at that point to go get them. If you already have them, then it's probably going to affect the value of them just a little. I don't see it being so much that it's going to be detrimental unless they keep doing it, right? So if they keep doing it over and over and over, and I'm going to look up one of these guys real quick. I'm going to look up this Boba Fett just to see how much he is trending for. So let's see. Let's see if I can find him on here. So the old Boba Fett is going to be trending. God, he's going to be hard to find. He's going to be so far. So he's only trending at $20, right? So at $20, I mean, I guess that it could come down enough to it will affect the value of what you have. I mean, because at $20, maybe he's going to come down to 18, maybe he's going to come down to 16, maybe he's going to come down to the retail value. I am not really sure. I did see another one on there though that was pretty expensive, but I don't have him pulled up on the screen, so we're not going to really talk about him. Now, guys, like I was saying, if you haven't checked out my Facebook, get over there and check that out. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to continue to have a lot of fun. And my Facebook is really going to be more about what we're doing in the news world and what's coming out and all of that stuff versus what you see, right? I mean, so make sure that you get over there and check that out. I don't have a link to it down in the description, and I just really started it the other day, so it's not going to have a link in the description. It's going to be some videos weeks away before you start seeing those links in the description. Make sure that you check me, but it's going to be Chris, Mr. TechBot, JKL, and myself will all be live tomorrow doing the one chip challenge. Now, I have not opened this box up yet, right? So I'm going to save this box. I'm going to open it tomorrow. We'll be doing the one chip challenge tomorrow at 6 p.m. Standard Eastern Time. I said Standard Eastern Time because now it's become so much of a hobby to say it that I say it instinctively now. So make sure that you're over there tomorrow to check Mr. TechBot, JKL, and myself out. Look, I'm not 100% sure how hot this thing is, but something tells me that it's really going to be hot. We just did the White Lightning Chocolate Challenge, so if you haven't seen that one, go back through my lives, check that one out. That one was a lot of fun. We all did that one together as well. We're actually going to be having the Pop in Duo. They will be on the channel to kind of like accommodate while we're eating this, because we have a feeling that we're not going to be able to talk a whole lot while our faces are on fire, right? So we'll have the Pop and Duo on there. Look, you really need to come over and check it out. And if you haven't went and checked out my Patreon, go check out my Patreon. My Patreon is going to be less than the cup of a coffee that you would pay. So if you went to Starbucks or anywhere like that, it's cheaper than getting a cup of coffee. Guys, don't forget, subscribe to the channel, turn on those notifications, and become part of the Wayne Co. crew. There is no Wayne Co. crew without you. I truly appreciate you guys coming and hanging out. Have a good one.